Hello, Commander.
Hello, my name is Ghost and this is Power Hour, in which we give games 1 hour to hook us in. We'll go over the story, gameplay, and lots of balancing. Today's game we're going to take a look at is Outland, a post-apocalypse game in which you, a girl named Fran, attempt to escape angry jellyfish dogs and set off in your now-dead dad's car for California. Now, normally I would play the trailer to segue into the rest of the video, however, I was unable to locate it. So, if you happen to find a trailer and or are able to make one for yourself, go ahead and post it down in the comments below. I'll be happy to pin it, so that way others can take a look. One thing you'll quickly learn about Power Hour is that I like to reference more iconic games of a genre to help better understand what it's like in its field. So, starting from the ground up, for example, if we're going to talk about FPSs, games like Call of Duty, Halo, and Super Monkey Ball 5 are all undisputed first-person shooters. If you're talking about horror, Dead Space 1 and 2, we don't talk about 3, the Resident Evil series, and all the Amnesia games, just to name a few. To describe Outland, I would classify it as a roguelite, but without the lightness. Outland to me sits at the gaming tables of Risk of Rain and Enter the Gungeon, but it's kind of like meeting your second cousin who you've never met, they don't speak your native tongue, and they don't say a single thing. You see, there's a standard for roguelites. You have 2 to 3 mini-bosses and then one big final boss. And then boom, the game loops, allowing you to make mistakes and die a lot, but there isn't a whole lot lost. And what I mean by this is, if you get to the final boss, usually it only takes about 45 minutes. This allows you to explore and create new different variables with either items, weapons, or the different characters that the game presents to you. Outland, on the other hand, isn't like that. It drops you into the game, says, "Hi, your dad friend person's getting mauled. Get in the fucking car," and you're off. No tutorials, no understanding of what you're doing, and while this is perfectly fine in many other RLs, Outland's inherent game length of having 4 to 5 final bosses, the length makes it very punishing for newer players who don't understand how to play the game. In the 1 and only 1 hour of gameplay that we got, our trip from the east to west coast with our sorority sisters had a total of 1 big stop and 3 mini stops, so check marks for being around the roguelite series. This, however, had quite a few drawbacks for me, as because this was actually a turn-based RTS roguelite game, there were quite a few, scenarios that we can run through where I feel like a save mechanic or a function would have been really important. Middle of a fight that goes wrong, kind of a dead run. Survivor gets hit and loses half of their mobility options, dead survivor, and dead run. Run over an octodog 1 too many times and blow up your car, you guessed it, dead run, and dead car. Again, it has all the challenge and intensity of a roguelite, but it's like playing the knife game for 6 hours with a fast pace, and one of the tentacle monsters has a taser is going to play Beat Saber with your back of your head if you're not quick enough. Speaking of little 4-legged tentacle monsters, let's talk about the lore of them. My name is Ghost, and thank you for this brief lore tutorial about the Octodogs. Besides every once in a while there being a massive earthquake and more of the little boogers spawning, I think there is some sort of connection between them being maybe potentially a subterranean species that basically wiped out the humanity, which, by the way, there's no save function for that. I do think that there is some sort of connection, but it's kind of all hypothetical, which is a little bit upsetting because in the entire hour that we did play, there was no lore to describe what was going on. While the characters might inherently understand what's going on, as of course they do live inside that world, we as the players feel a little bit disconnected as we're going through and kind of just playing the game. Yes, games like Risk of Rain also do have this inherent idea of it's just a game, play it, and then you'll kind of figure it out, the story as you go, but there's also pickups and other options for you to kind of learn the game as you play, and you can get many of those on your first run to at least give you bits and pieces to keep you going. There's also an inherent building system, which is likely fleshed out further into the game, but we were only able to get a glimpse into it because, again, we only played for an hour. Sadly, there really wasn't much to glimpse into, and the crafting system from what we were able to gather was a little bit confusing. You have alcohol, you have fire. Congratulations, you have a Molotov cocktail. Don't ask me where you got the paper from. That's breaking the lore. You have a rock and a stick. No, why would you combine those? That doesn't make sense. What, you're trying to make a rock axe like you're playing Rust or something? You absolute Neanderthal. Of course that doesn't work. Getting back on track, the first big stop that we ran into introduced us to the much larger two-headed variants of the little dogs. So, for consistency, we'll be calling the big ones big dogs and the little ones little dogs. Very creative, I know. The little ones are quite easy to deal with. Smack them with a rock, hit them with a stick, hit the dab and yeet a ball at them like Dad does to Mom when he's drinking his angry juice. One shot, one kill, no problem. And this kind of introduces the biggest challenge and honestly the strongest mood killer for me in the game. Much like other games, when you kill a monster, creature, or something that is on the board, as this is in fact a turn-based survival roguelite, very confusing I know and I do apologize, when you kill something, crazy idea, it dies, right? So, usually that is a trigger for the game to say, okay, we need to kind of shuffle more monsters in here to try and keep the game progressing. However, the way that Outland handles this is, okay, you killed one, great. It's going to be back in 2 to 3 turns, immediately. The timer starts as soon as you kill one, which A, is a little bit jarring because it's almost like they're waiting, as in, you killed one and one of them's underground, like, all right, just gotta wait for Frank to die. Frank's dead. Boom! Immediately up. I'm ready, boys. Let's go. Like, it's almost like there's like 40 or 50 of them just like hanging out underneath the dirt. And it's very immersion breaking when as soon as you kill one, the dirt just immediately pops up. And hey, by the way, there's another one. Another game that kind of handles this situation I think, very creatively is Warhammer's 40k Deathwing or Deathwatch. As you're going through most of this game, you'll quickly come across gene stealers. And the way that the game signals that there are going to be gene stealers spawning is, well, congratulations. Right at the vent where they're spawning, there's a giant, big, red, flashing symbol. However, it is random, and it is also not immediately after you've killed the first batch of gene stealers that were spawning from that vent. They come in randomly, and if you stack them up, they will continue to spawn. It's an ever-present danger that doesn't feel like it's being forced. The gene stealers come in, they will try and kill you, they will try and overwhelm you, but they will keep coming. They will always keep coming. I feel like Deathwatch handles that in a much better and more organic way in comparison to Outland. I feel like the game is trying to push you and move you forward both with the little and big dogs spawning, but the way that it handles it is almost as soon as you kill one, another one spawns, and I do feel like that's a bit of a both immersion killer and mood killer. Now, we were able to get to our first big stop, and this is where we did start to run into those much larger big dogs. The level seemed to go quite well. We were spacing everything out, and I was trying to balance it out where we would kill the ones in the middle and then just try and defend the ones that were spawning on the edges, as they never spawn in the middle or randomly on the map. It's always you kill a little dog anywhere on the map, a little one will spawn on one of the corners or the edges of the map. You kill a big one, which by the way takes 2 hits, a big one will spawn somewhere on the corners of the map. After running over one of the big dogs with my car and discovering these tank chads of the dog kingdom will set a car on fire, it was then that I realized that we might be kind of in deep. As again, with no way to save or restart the game that we were aware of, we basically went into a death saving throw. This is a term in which you have a chance to survive a what would kill you blow. So for example, we crashed and blew up our car. We now are in a death saving throw because we cannot progress or continue until we get another vehicle. While the game does try and give you a fighting chance, quote unquote, this is not a chance to survive. I'll say this now, and I do mean this with all seriousness. When we got to this section of the game, the death saving throw, it just didn't feel like it was a fighting chance. I mean, obviously with a death saving throw, it's more of luck at the die, sure, but this felt more like, yeah, you could make it out of this, but you might as well just restart. Mind you, this is the first leg of the game, the early game, when everything is still growing. If you're a younger player, if you're a newer player like us, we were just learning the environment, learning how everything works, and just starting to get our feet underneath us. If you're a more seasoned veteran player of this game, you're just starting your momentum, you're just starting to get your pieces together. this wasn't a fair fight. This was basically give up, or you can just keep, playing and maybe get lucky. And that to me didn't exactly feel like a really a fair fight. This felt more of a, good luck, kid. After failing to get a car the first time, and then going on to my second death-saving throw, and eventually just running out of time, I decided that I wanted to just let them go out in a blaze of fighting glory and take on the dogs, and they all died. I was brought to the death screen, and that's where I was given, I think, the just cherry on top of go fuck yourself, a restart button. Why wasn't I aware of this? Why, again, for an entire hour, I played the game assuming that either I would learn about a restart button, I would be shown a restart button, or maybe, crazy idea, why wasn't the restart level button option when I was escaping from my failed first car? Again, I'm going to say it again. Save yourself the trouble of trying to maneuver around all of this for 45 minutes. Just take the loss, restart the entire run, or restart the level. It's not worth it. I think this game can be summed up with how you actually interact with Outland. To select your character, you right-click them, and to command them or make them move or take an action, you left-click them. And again, this kind of took me a while to really understand why I was so uncomfortable with this, and I really do recommend you go to any other game that you have and try this. Right-click something. It feels a bit weird, doesn't it? Now go ahead and try and left-click something. You want to select a unit, you left-click. You want them to take an action or shoot something, you right-click. You want to click and drag your units, you left-click. The game just kind of feels like it's the opposite of everything that you would normally expect with both a roguelike and an RTS game in general. Everything's just kind of backwards, and while I do understand that, you want to try and stand out and be unique within your own genre, you also need to make sure it's easy to understand and able to walk into. I feel like the game is complex and confusing because it's complex and confusing. It's not because there's a lot of other things you just need to learn and you eventually want to learn. It's why can I create a Molotov cocktail with only one character? Because she's the only one that has a backpack. It just doesn't make sense. The short and simple, Overland is a tougher than normal roguelite. It doesn't teach you anything and expects you to try and combine items that you have no idea how to. I would recommend you spend your first couple of runs just mucking about to have a genuine and honest tutorial, and then give it a real genuine shot. Your difficulty options for the game are easy, medium, and hard, with the first two grayed out. Enemies are plenty and literally unending, and you and your sorority college friends are just trying to get to those California beaches before you get smacked once and quite literally become dead weight. The total price for this game comes out to about $25 USD, and I would really only recommend this game to people who are looking to get punished quickly and brutally, with the stakes only getting higher because of how much more there is to the game and how little you're actually allowed to save. If a level doesn't go your way, just do it again. This game is brutal, this game is fast, and if you are ready for that kind of commitment, I highly recommend it. If you're looking for something a little bit more casual or a little bit more lighter on the roguelite side, I would probably recommend something else. My name is Ghost, and thank you for listening to this segment of Power Hour. I hope you have a good day, good afternoon, and good night. Please do stick around as I have a couple video segments that I have pieced together for you guys to enjoy and just kind of get a general understanding of how this game is. I hope you have a good day, good afternoon, good night, and I'll see you for the next installment. Oh, fuck, dude. What? We're road tripping? Wait a minute.
Really?
Is this fucking, the road to Oregon? The Oregon Trail? For me. There we go. Look at that. I've included you guys into this stream. You're basically more important than me now. Let's get this shit rolling.
I'm more successful than you, too.
Stop, Dad, please! I hear buggers.
Even though shit's hit the fan,
yeah,
there's still power.
Shh, that's... Don't immersion break. I can't... What was that?
It.
Did you see that text?
Yeah, I think there's like over there in the shadows.
You wanna buy some drugs, kids?
I...
Irma. I guess it's just a girls' night out going towards the, wait. Kept a bug collection in her bedroom, hoping to find her friend. Yeah, why is, oh, I think she's wounded?
Why are they all whamming?
I was gonna say, I guess it's a girls' trip to California. That's that. Get in the goddamn car, Morty! On the road again. I like that they pick up the rocks that they were carrying. Lovely. And here are 3 final, fairly armed here. And you also lose an entire movement just for taking 1 damage, which is insanity for how much just some basic movement costs you.
Yeah.
Which is nuts. Guys! Oh crap. Oh,
Of course, protagonist has to die last.
Of course she does. Rip protagonist, rip the game. Yeah, I think 15 to... I would say 15 to 20. It is fairly well polished compared to probably a lot of the other games that we're gonna see. I can restart the level?
Oh.
What? Why couldn't I have done that back when the car exploded in the first place?
I don't know.
No, I don't want to restart. That's a mechanic I wish I would have known about. But okay, well, there's our goons. Rip from.
Wait, there are traits?
Apparently. Starting party with you since the beginning. Yeah, great. Okay, well, that is Overland. Yeah, it's okay. I enjoyed it, but it's a puzzle game. It's mostly strategic puzzling, and I don't have the big brain, the galactic brain for that.